Hello dear students, in the previous lecture we have discussed lettering and its use in engineering drawing. Now we are going to discuss dimensioning and its types in engineering drawing. So according to BIS standard, dimension is a numerical value expressed in appropriate unit of measurement and indicate graphically on technical drawing with lines, symbols and notes. Let us suppose we have made a drawing on the drawing sheet like this, and we have to indicate that what is the dimension of the various lines, that what is the width of this drawing, what is the length of this drawing, what is the diameter of this circle. So we have to draw the drawing dimension according to some rules. There are some rule of dimensioning, and there are certain symbols and certain lines which we have to use in dimensioning. So next we are going to discuss elements of dimensioning. So first element of dimensioning is the object line. Object line is what? A line on the drawing whose length is to be shown is called as object line. So in case of angle, two lines forming angle will be object line. Let us suppose we have to draw an angle. So one line is this one and one line is this one. So these are the object line, and we have to indicate the angle with respect to this two line. For example, in this drawing, if we have to show the angle between these two lines, this line and this line, so these are the object line. So object line is what? Object line is the line whose dimension is to be written. Next is extension line. Extension line is what? Extension line is a thin continuous line drawn perpendicular to a object line, and it is extended by about 3 mm beyond the dimension line. So what? This is the object line. This is the object line, and to write the dimension we have to draw an extension line with a thin continuous line which is drawn perpendicular to this object line, and there is certain gap of 3 mm in between the object line and the extension line, starting of the extension line. Next is dimension line. So the dimension line is drawn between two extension lines parallel to the object line. So it means if these are the two extension lines, so a dimension line is drawn in between these two extension lines, and this dimension line must be parallel to the object line. One dimension line represents one dimension. Only one dimension is given to one dimension line. For angle, a curved dimension line as a arc with center, the vertex of angle is drawn. So let us suppose we have to give the angular dimension of this line and this line. So we have to draw a curved line, curved dimension line. Next is center line. A center line is a thin, dark line alternating long and short heads. I have already discussed center line in my previous lecture. So center line is commonly used as an extension line in locating holes and other symmetrical features. For example, I have to draw a dimension line which is indicating the centers of two holes. So how can I draw? First of all, I have to draw the center line. So this is the center line. This is the center line which acts as an extension line, and in between these two center line, I will draw this dimension line. Okay. Next is leader line. Leader line is a line or a pointer which is drawn with thin continuous line connecting a node or a dimension figure with feature to which it applies. For example, I have to show the dimension of this hollow part. So how I will show it? I have to draw the dimension line, and then I have to draw a leader line which extends this dimension line, and we have to write the dimension over this leader line For example, 2 holes, 5, 12. It means there are 2 holes in this object which is of diameter 12 mm. Okay. Next is the most important part of the dimensioning is arrowhead. Arrowhead is what? Arrowhead is a part of dimension line, and 2 arrowheads are present on one dimension line. It means at the starting point and at the end point. Arrowhead is like this, and the length to height ratio of the arrowhead is 3:1. If 3 is the length of the arrow, then height is the 1. So 3:1 is the ratio of the arrowhead. Then dimension. Dimension is the most important part of any dimensioning system because it helps you to indicate that this is the length, this is the height, this is the angular dimension of any component. So it is placed near the middle and above the dimension line or at the center of the dimension line by breaking them or without breaking them. So this is the dimension line, these are the arrowheads, and we have to write the dimension figure over this dimension line. So these are the elements of dimensioning. I think this is clear to you. Next, system of dimensioning. So according to the Bureau of Indian Standard, we have 2 systems of dimensioning. First one is the aligned system and second one is the unidirectional system. So let us compare both the system. First point is dimension are placed perpendicular to the dimension line. So this is the figure and this is the dimension line, and the dimensions must be written perpendicular to the dimension line. It means suppose this is the dimension line, then dimension is written like this. This is the dimension line, so dimension is perpendicular to the dimension line like this. But in unidirectional system, dimensions are placed vertically irrespective of dimension line, like this one. Then this, the dimension line is break into 2 parts and the dimension is written in between the center of the dimension line, like this one. The direction of all the dimensions will remain same. Okay. In the aligned system, the horizontal and inclined dimension can be read from the bottom of the drawing sheet. You can read the dimension written in aligned system from the bottom of the drawing sheet. Vertical dimension can be read from the right hand side of the drawing. Vertical dimension, these dimension can be read from the right hand side of the drawing. So from the bottom and from the right hand side. Now in the unidirectional system, all the dimension can be read from the bottom of the drawing. It means we have to draw only from one direction, that is the bottom of the drawing sheet. So in the aligned system, we can read the dimension from the bottom of the drawing sheet and the right hand side of the drawing sheet. But in unidirectional system, we can read only from the bottom of the drawing sheet. Third point is, in the aligned system, all dimensions are placed above the midpoint of dimension line. In the case of aligned system, each dimension is written in the middle of the dimension line over the dimension line. In the middle of the dimension line, and it must be above the dimension line. And in the unidirectional system, horizontal dimensions are placed above the midpoint of the dimension line. Vertical and inclined dimensions are placed at the middle of the dimension line by breaking them. So vertical and horizontal dimensions are placed in such a way that we can break the dimension line, and we have to write in between the break dimension. So this is the system of dimensioning. One of the important thing is that all the dimensions on drawing must be shown using either the aligned system or unidirectional system. Two systems should not be mixed on the same drawing. If you are adopting aligned system, you have to adopt aligned system throughout the object dimensioning, or you have to adopt unidirectional system, but not aligned system and unidirectional together for the same drawing. Next is arrangement of dimensioning. So there are three arrangement of dimensioning. First one is the chain dimensioning, second one is the parallel dimensioning, next is combined dimensioning. First, chain dimensioning means dimension are arranged in a straight line. For example, in this figure we can see that all the dimensions are arranged in chain form. The first dimension, and after that this is second dimension, and this is the third dimension. Next is parallel dimensioning. All dimensions are shown from the common baseline. The smaller dimension is placed near the view. For example, this is a figure and this is the baseline and this is the baseline. So we have to start from here. So this is the first dimension of this object line. Next, we have to write the next dimension starting from here to next endpoint of the dimension. That is this, from this point to this point, next this point to this point. So this is parallel dimension. The dimensions are parallel to each other. Next is combined dimensioning. Combined dimensioning is the dimensioning in which we can use chain dimensioning as well as parallel dimensioning together. So we can see that this and this is the parallel dimensioning, and this 30-30 is the chain dimensioning. So we can use chain dimensioning and parallel dimensioning together in combined dimensioning. So this is the arrangement of dimensioning. Now next we are going to discuss the layout of, before that we are going to discuss the rules of dimensioning. So because the rules of dimensioning is very, very important. So the first rule of dimensioning is that all the dimensioning necessary for correct functioning of the part should be expressed directly on the drawing. We have to write the dimension on the drawing itself. Second one is every dimension should be given, but none should be given more than once. For example, there is a symmetry and there are lines of 10 mm, 10 lines of 10 mm in the same drawing. So we have to give the dimension to only one line that will show you 10 mm, and other line itself indicate that each line is of 10 mm. Third is a dimension should be placed on view where its use is shown more clearly. Dimension is placed in such a way that it's the length or the height or the width must be clearly shown that this is the length, this is the height. For example, I have to give the height of this cup. So we have to write this here. We have to write the dimension here, not here, where it can be clearly seen. Next, dimension should be placed outside the view as far as possible. This is very clear that in the previous figure, there is no dimension in the drawing sheet. The dimension is out of the view. Dimension is not written inside the figure. It must be outside the figure. Next, mutual crossing of dimensioning line and dimensioning between hidden lines should be avoided. Yes, it is very true that the dimensioning is written in such a way that the one dimension does not cross the other dimension. So we have to take care of this. Next is an outline or a center line should never be used as a dimension line. A center line cannot be used as a dimension line. We have to use the dimension line as I had discussed in previous elements of dimensioning. Aligned system of dimensioning is recommended. Mostly we use aligned system of dimensioning according to the Bureau of Indian Standard. Next is dimension line should be drawn at least 8 mm away from the outline and from each other. For example, this is the object line. This is the object line. So dimension line is drawn parallel to this object line in such a way that there must be a space of 8 mm in between the dimension line and the object line. Next is the extension line should be extended by about 3 mm beyond the dimension line. There should be a gap of 3 mm in between the object line and the dimension line. Next, when the space is too narrow, the arrowhead may be placed outside. It can be also represented with the help of a dot, like in this figure. If this space is very small, then we have to put the arrowhead outside the dimension line, and we can write the dimension like this. Okay. Next is the various method of dimensioning different size of circle are as follows. We have to represent the circle dimension as like this. If the space is so small that we cannot write in this way, we can write in this way. We can write circle dimension in this way and in this way also. And this is called as leader line. Next, arc of circle should be dimensioned by their respective radii. If there is some arc, in the figure, then we have to write it as R8. It means it is having the arc of radius 8 mm. It is having the arc of radius 20 mm. It is having the arc of radius 3 mm. Next, the radii of a spherical surface and square cross section of a rod is represented like this. If this is a sphere, then we have to write like this. We have to draw a dimension line, and then we have to draw a leader line, and over that leader line we have to write sphere R20, or if there is a square, then what we have to do, we have to draw a dimension line and then write SQ, that represents square 24. It represents there is a square of length 24 mm each line of each line. Next, angular dimension may be given as follows. We have to adopt the dimensioning method of angular dimension in this way. Next, method of dimensioning of chamfer. If we have to give the dimensioning of a chamfer, then we have to represent like this: 2 into 45 degree. It means both the sides are chamfer at the angle of 45 degree. So these are the rule of dimensioning. Now we are going to discuss drawing sheet layout. Now we have a drawing sheet, and before starting the drawing on the drawing sheet, what we have to do, we have to draw first of all margin lines on the drawing sheet. And how margin line is drawn on the drawing sheet? So on the left hand side, we have to left the margin of 20 mm, and on the rest 3 sides, that is the top side, bottom side, and the right side of the drawing sheet, we have to left the margin of 10 mm. This is because we have to fix the drawing sheet in the file with respect to the left side. So this margin should be greater. So it is 20 mm, and on the other 3 sides it is of 10 mm. And on the right bottom corner, we have to draw title block. And title block is the block in which there is complete information about the drawing sheet, and the firm to which the drawing sheet is related is provided with this title block. So what are the different elements of a title block? We will discuss in next slide. So these are the element of title blocks. And what is the dimension of title block? Dimension of the title block is this. This is first 185 into 65. 185 into 65. We have to draw a rectangle of size. This 65 into 185 length and 65 height. Next, what we have to do, from the left hand corner, we have to draw 3 lines at the distance of 15 mm. Then from the first line we have to take 25 mm, then 20 mm, and we have to draw a horizontal line which from this point which is below 10 mm, and draw a line up till here, up till here. And these are the sizes. So we have to draw the title block in this manner, and these are the elements of a title block. We have to write first designed, name and date. It means designed, the name of the person who have drawn this drawing sheet, and the date on which the person has drawn the object over the drawing sheet. Then designed by, drawn by, checked by, the name of the person who have checked this drawing, the standard, what type of standard you have used, approved, the name of the person who have approved that drawing, and the drawing sheet number. So in your class you have to draw this title block on your drawing sheet, and you have to write the drawing sheet number. For example, your drawing sheet number 1 is of lettering, so then you have to write drawing sheet number 1. Next, let us suppose next drawing sheet is of dimensioning, so you have to write drawing sheet number 2. And in this large rectangle you have to write the name of firm. For example, you have to write GLA University Mathura here by the help of lettering. By the help of lettering. This is the scale. This is the scale. Here you have to write the scale. I will discuss scale in upcoming lectures. And here you have to write the title of the drawing. For example, first drawing is of lettering, so you have to write letter writing or lettering. Next drawing is of dimension, so you have to write dimension and its type. Okay, so these are the elements of title block. So today we have discussed dimension, dimension style, system of dimensioning, and layout of drawing sheet, and title block. So today's lecture is over. Thank you so much and have a nice day.